Okay, how do you go back and report what happened without the thought? I feel like I'm jumping to conclusions without being there. Okay, so this is a great question. I'm going to just type this in, and the question is how to go back and report what happened without the thought, which is question 4. And I feel like I'm jumping to conclusions without being there. So the key for answering question 4 and for doing the work in general is uh, to focus on experience, the experience of it. This is an experiential process. That's why it's a meditative process. And what the mind likes to do, what the intellect likes to do, is to jump ahead and jump to conclusions and under, try to understand what it would be like. But what the real question is answering, who would you be without a thought, without this thought, is it's an invitation to go imagine yourself back in the scene and actually see what it feels like, what it's like to move around in that scene. And so, what helps in this regard is to, first of all, have a specific situation. If you don't have a specific situation, it's much harder to do this. But if you have a specific moment in time, you remember where you were sitting, where the other person was sitting, you remember what was going on, you can go back there mentally and actually be there, be yourself there again. But just imagine, the only difference is imagine who you would be without that thought in that moment. And then once you're there, you know where you're sitting, you know where the other person's sitting, you start looking around and you see what the scene looks like. You start looking at the other person and you notice what you're becoming aware of with the other person that maybe you didn't notice before. And so it's experiential. Even though it's hypothetical, it's still experiential. And that gives your internal experiential part a new experience, like a new possibility. And so it gets to experience the difference of having the thought in that situation versus not having the thought in that situation. And it's like two real things that it's comparing. It's not intellectual, it's hypothetical, but it's actually seeing, okay, I walked in and I remember experiencing it with the thought and I was frustrated and angry. Now I'm walking back in and I'm imagining what it would be like without this thought. And wow, it's more peaceful. I'm more open. I feel more connected to the other person. I see different options. And you can feel the difference. So that's the key, feeling it versus thinking about it. Um, but like I said, the intellect will try to jump to conclusions. Oh, uh, who would I be without the thought? Oh, I would be peaceful, right? It becomes a cliche sometimes. Oh, I'd be peaceful. I would be really happy. And yes, those words are often what come when I go through and experience it, but the words are no substitute for actually going through and experiencing it. Then you may find happy, you may find peace, you may find these words that the intellect grabbed onto, but you're finding them from a place of connection within yourself, within that situation, and it makes all the difference. The other cool thing about that is later, if you come across another situation that's similar in real life, having gone through this experience of who would you be without the thought and you really experienced it, that's now like a new memory inside of you. You don't have to memorize it, you've experienced it, you remember your experiences. So now when you come to a similar situation, you often remember the different options that you had there, and you often can experience it differently the second time. Of course, turnarounds help a lot in that regard as well. But the key point, and I think it's just right at the heart of what the work is all about, is that this is an experiential process. And so you have to allow yourself to get into a specific situation and to go through that experience again, directly, so that the heart gets it, not just the intellect.